The Chase versus American Express Trifecta. Which one is actually better? Today I'll do an in-depth comparison so you don't pick the wrong one, starting with the Chase Trifecta, which includes the Chase Freedom Flex, the Chase Freedom Unlimited, and either the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Chase Sapphire Reserve cards. Each one of these has its own unique benefits, and this Trifecta combo has an annual fee that ranges from $95 to $550. Now, the pros of this combo is that for the two lower tier cards, there's no annual fee, which would be the Freedom Unlimited and the Freedom Flex. The Freedom Flex allows you to earn 5% on rotational categories, for example, on things like your gym membership, Amazon.com, and at gas stations. In addition to that, just like with the Freedom Unlimited, they both allow you to earn 3% on dining and at drugstores. But where the Freedom Unlimited differs is that while it doesn't allow you to earn 5% on rotational categories, it does allow you to earn 1.5% on everything else. So with these two cards together, you can pretty much cover almost all of your everyday purchases. Now, if you're wondering which one of these is better than the other, it entirely depends on you, because if you go through the entire Chase calendar and see that you can use a Freedom Flex for majority of the 5% categories, then the Freedom Flex is probably better. However, if you think you can get more use out of the 1.5% cash back on all the purchases, then the Freedom Unlimited would reign supreme. But like I mentioned before, neither of these cards have an annual fee, so if you do decide to open both, you won't have to worry about that for those cards. However, if you are on your 4th or 5th card for the 524 rule, then you do need to choose wisely, because it will be a while before you can open up another Chase card. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, Chase has an internal rule called the 524 rule, which essentially limits users from opening up new Chase cards if they've opened 5 credit lines in the past 24 months. This is a rule that Chase has implemented just to mitigate risks, which I know about firsthand now. And some people will say that this doesn't include business cards, but I can tell you personally that that's completely incorrect. I went to the Chase branch and they told me specifically that my 524 kicked in because of the business cards I had opened up earlier in the year. So if you were told otherwise, just be cautious, because Chase factors in everything. But with that said, let's move on to the Chase Sapphire cards, where the most interesting thing I think they did marketing wise is with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, where they somehow made this card valuable and useless at the same time. And that's because with the Chase Sapphire Preferred, when it comes to points, also has a 3x multiplier on dining, just like with the Chase Freedom cards. So it's kind of this cool thing where if you wanted to, you could just have the Chase Sapphire Preferred with some cool travel perks and the dining multipliers. However, if you have the Chase Freedom Unlimited or Flex, then you already have that 3x multiplier and it starts to feel kind of redundant. The Preferred does have some other spending categories like on online groceries and select streaming services, but if you want to complete your trifecta with even more benefits, you could open the Chase Sapphire Reserve, which doesn't have the 3x on online groceries and select streaming services, but does have more travel perks than the Chase Sapphire Preferred. You do have to remember though that the Chase Sapphire Reserve has a much higher annual fee than the Preferred at $550 compared to the Preferred's annual fee of $95. And in the perfect world, we would have all these perks and benefits under one card. But then I wouldn't be making this video. With that said, let's go over the rest of the Chase Sapphire Preferred so you can figure out which card is better for your trifecta. So in addition to the 3x on dining that you can earn with this card, you can also earn 5x on travel through the Chase Travel Portal and 2x on all other travel purchases. Plus, the Chase Sapphire Preferred has a intro bonus of 60,000 points when you spend $4,000 in the first 3 months of account opening. Now, the really cool part about the Preferred is that one of the main 2 reasons why people open this card is because each point is worth actually 25% more when redeemed for travel, unlike with the Freedom cards. However, you can still use the points that you earn from the Freedom cards to redeem them for that higher valued with the Preferred. This makes something like that 60,000 point bonus worth around $750 instead of that $600 for travel. That bonus is where I would say most new users receive a bulk of their initial points, and if you want to find a link to one, I'll leave one in the description that also helps support these videos, so you can check it out. But besides for the increase in point value, the other main reason why people open this card and don't just use the Freedom Flex or Unlimited is because of the ability to transfer out to airlines and hotels. And if you don't know what I'm talking about, then let me explain, because this is really where a majority of the value of the Sapphire cards come into play. So with the card combos, you tend to have one card which is travel and that connects to the transfer partners, and with that one card allows you to convert your credit card points to airline miles or hotel points. And the reason why this is so important is because the value of airline miles can be worth much more than just the value of credit card points or even cash back. For instance, we know that the value of the Sapphire Preferred points are worth 1.25 cents each when redeemed for travel in the Chase Travel Portal. However, you can easily find airline and hotel partners where you can transfer out the points on a one-to-one basis, meaning one credit card point for one airline point, and that one credit card point being worth 2, 3, 4, 5, or even 6 cents per mile. So better than the 1.25 cents you would get in the Chase Travel Portal alone. The easiest way to think of this again is with that intro bonus of 60,000 points. Instead of it being worth $750 at 1.25 cents per point, in this case when you transfer out at a value of 2 cents per point, it would be worth $1,200. So do you see what I'm saying? And the best thing is that Chase is partnered with a plethora of airlines and hotels who have their own transfer partners, really giving you a vast option when it comes to redeeming your points for travel. But the big question is, if the preferred is so good with the trifecta, then why do people get the reserve? And that's because, like I mentioned before, the Chase Sapphire Reserve has a plethora of more perks and benefits, starting with the fact that you can redeem your points with this card for 50% more, meaning 1.25 cents per point, which again, for comparison, that 60,000 point bonus would be equivalent to around $900 compared to the $750 you would get with the preferred bonus. And in addition to that, this card also provides a credit for global entry or TSA pre-check, a $300 travel credit that can be utilized for flights, hotels, cruises, and even taxis. Plus, both these cards have first-year benefits with partners like Lyft, DoorDash, and Peloton. These benefits do have an expiration date though, so even though for the preferred, these benefits are valued at $150 and over $1,000 with the reserve, if you plan like many others on having the trifecta for the long term, these benefits become sort of minuscule over the life of the card. Now, in addition to all of that, one of the biggest things the Chase Sapphire Reserve has over the Chase Sapphire Preferred is access to airport lounges, which if you travel a decent amount may be one of the main reasons why you consider opening this card. With the Reserve, you'll have access to the Priority Pass, Chase Sapphire, and Air Canada lounges, which are in over a combined 1,000 airports. So pretty much no matter the airport you go to, you'll be able to find a lounge. However, there are some downsides specifically you have to consider with the Reserve card, which is one, not only are there not lounges in all the terminals, but second, not all lounges are made equal. And here's what I mean. Depending on which airport and terminal you go to depends on the level of lounge that you'll have access to. For the most part, more popular airports and terminals tend to have better lounges compared to smaller airports that have smaller terminals. So this is really important to look up, especially if you're in a place with a smaller airport and fly out of a smaller domestic terminal. However, if you live in a place like New York and fly internationally out of JFK Terminal 4, you'll find a range of options for you to have access to, including one of the best Chase Sapphire lounges in Terminal 4, which is great because of the fact that larger airports tend to have more connections, so I've pretty much always found that if I'm not flying non-stop, I can usually find a lounge in a bigger airport. However, there is one more thing to note about this card of that 1,000+ lounges worldwide, and that's that of the Chase Sapphire Reserve lounges, there are only 4 open. 1 in Boston, Hong Kong, and 2 in New York with LaGuardia and JFK. Now, they do have a Terrence open in Austin and a Bear Garden open in downtown New York, near Seaport. But besides for that, as of right now, that's it. And I think it's really important to know that when considering which card suits you best, to remember that lounges are only one benefit of this card, and it still does have a pretty decent chunk of access, especially with Priority Pass. With that said, when it comes to determining whether or not the Chase Sapphire Preferred or Reserve is a better option for you with this trifecta, I would say if you're starting out and just looking for a basic travel card and you don't need all the glitz and glams, the Preferred is probably the better option for you. However, if you are looking for that true travel card and want to use those travel credits, you want to increase the value of your points, and especially if you want access to those lounges, the Reserve is pretty much a no-brainer. But now that we've gone over the Chase Trifecta, let's move into the American Express Trifecta, which is a whole separate beast. So starting with the no annual fee American Express Business Blue Plus card, we can see that while the Chase Trifecta is made up of primarily personal cards, the American Express Trifecta actually includes 1 business card, which, don't get me wrong, you can add the Chase business cards to your wallet as well, since points earning is such a big part of these trifectas. It's just that the Business Blue Plus card is one of the simplest and easiest use of cards, and that's because you can actually earn 2x points on all your purchases up to $50,000 of spend each year, meaning you don't have to jump through hoops to find a specific category. And in addition to that, there's also a 15,000 point bonus when you spend $3,000 in the first 3 months of card membership. These 15,000 points are worth around $150 towards travel. Plus, many people also like that this card has a 0% introductory APY for the first 12 months of account opening, especially new business owners that have startup costs. With that said, just remember that this interest rate does shoot up to their standard rate after the first 12 months, so if you're like me and you don't like paying interest, make sure to pay off this card on time and in full prior to that introductory APR period ending. Next, let's move on to the first personal card of the American Express Trifecta, the American Express Gold Card. Which, unlike with the Chase Trifecta, where you had 2 of the 3 cards where there's no annual fee, the American Express Trifecta is the complete opposite, and I'll explain why in a second. So, with the Gold Card, there is a $325 annual fee, which is pretty hefty for a mid-tier card. But of all the mid-tier cards out there, I would say this one has the most benefits. Starting with the spending categories where you can earn 4x points on dining out at restaurants, as well as 4x points at supermarkets. And similar to the Chase card, this does exclude Target, Walmart, and wholesale clubs. Again, think just groceries, not places where you can buy all other retail products. Now, in addition to all those spending categories, this card also has 4 annual credits, including $10 a month in Uber Cash for Uber or Uber Eats, $7 monthly towards Dunkin', $50 in the first and second half of the year towards restaurants on Resy, and a $10 monthly dining credit that can be used either for Grubhub, Five Guys, The Cheesecake Factory, Wine.com, or even Goldbelly. So in total for the year, that's approximately $424 in value, so pretty good compared to that annual fee of $325. Now, before we move on to the Platinum card, I will say, unlike with Chase, there are no rules as of now where you cannot open an American Express card if you have 5 credit lines open in the past 24 months. However, with both Chase and American Express, there are important rules to know about their intro bonuses. So with American Express's Gold card, there is a 60,000 point bonus when you spend $6,000 in the first 6 months of card membership, and these points are valued at around 1 cent piece towards travel, which is a pretty great way to start off your point journey if I were to say the least. However, there is one caveat that may get you exempt from being eligible to earn this bonus, which is the order in which you open cards. And by that, I mean that with the American Express, if you already have opened the Platinum card, you may be ineligible to earn that bonus with the Gold card. But just so you know, it is completely fine the other way around. This is obviously different from the way Chase works because they have 2 main other rules where you can, 1, only have 1 Chase Sapphire card at a time, and if I didn't mention this already, if you earn an intro bonus with a Sapphire card, you'll be ineligible to earn another one and you'll have to wait another 48 months before you can earn a new bonus, making both ecosystems more difficult to game. But that's just how it is. I do think American Express's system, though, is a little bit more structured, especially since the fact that it's basically just you climbing their credit card ladders. However, it does suck that, especially with American Express, that bonus that you earn one time will be a lifetime bonus, meaning there is no chance of you opening up and earning another bonus for the same card. With that said, this is all just important to note so that you can know which order of cards you should consider opening them in. Finally, let's move to the last card of the American Express Trifecta, the Platinum card, that has an annual fee of $695 and is known as one of the best, if not the best travel card out there for a couple different reasons. Like, first, this card has 2 main spending categories where you can earn 5x points on flights booked directly through airlines or through the American Express travel portal, as well as 5x points on prepaid hotels booked directly through that same portal. In addition to that, this card also allows you to upgrade your status at Marriott and Hilton hotels to Marriott Bonvoy Gold Elite status and the Hilton Honors Gold status, which normally requires 25 to 40 nights stay. And what's nice about these statuses is that you'll be able to receive things like late checkout, dining credits, as well as upgrade rooms when available, which, to be honest, in my opinion, the upgrade rooms part is probably one of the best parts about these statuses. Which, like, don't get me wrong, I love food and being able to wake up late for a checkout, but booking a room and showing up and being upgraded to a suite or anything better than that is just amazing. Now, in addition to that hotel status upgrade, you'll also be able to upgrade your status with National, Avis, and Hertz, which provide similar benefits, but just think upgraded cars when available. The Platinum card also has over $1,500 in annual benefits, and since there's a lot, I'll only go over a couple in this video, the main ones being the $200 airline fee credit, $200 in Uber Cash, as well as a $200 hotel credit, and the best part about that $200 in Uber Cash is that it can actually be combined with the $120 that you'll receive with a gold card, so the total should be around $25 a month in Uber Cash, which to me is much better than the $10 or $15 each monthly, because then you can actually have some option, especially in a big city like New York. Now, to clarify, the $200 airline fee credit and the $200 hotel credit do have limitations, especially with the $200 hotel credit. That's for prepaid hotels through the American Express travel portal, and the $200 airline fee credit that's only to be used for incidentals, so not for booking or buying miles. Now, if you do compare this to the $300 travel credit that the Chase Sapphire Reserve has, it does make the Platinum card look a little bit less appealing. However, you do still have to factor in all the other benefits, plus the fact that the American Express Platinum card also provides you with that credit for global entry or TSA PreCheck that renews every 4 years. And what's even better than the Reserve card is a Platinum card also provides you with a yearly credit for Clear, which for those of you that don't know, basically the difference between TSA PreCheck, Global Entry, and Clear is that Global Entry is mainly used to expedite the process when you're re-entering into the US through customs. TSA PreCheck provides you with a separate line that allows you to go through security a lot faster than normal when entering the airport, and Clear allows you to skip a majority of the security lines up into the scanners, which is probably why Clear is the best benefit to me. Now, the Platinum card does have one more perk that many people say is a primary reason for them opening this card, and that's airport lounge access. So when comparing this specifically to the Reserve card, there are some pretty big differences and some similarities. For example, with a Platinum card, you'll have access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide through Priority Pass and the American Express Centurion lounges. Sound familiar? Well, while with both Trifectas, you do have a large amount of access, one of the key differences is with the Centurion versus the Chase Sapphire Reserve lounge. Because if you remember before, like I mentioned, the Chase lounges are in a small number of airports, being available only in Hong Kong, Boston, and New York. However, with American Express, the Centurion lounges are available in almost 30 airports worldwide. So essentially the only airport where you could find the Centurion lounge would be where the Reserve lounges are in Boston. But with that said, I will say that while American Express does have more Centurion lounges, Chase's are newer and in many cases much nicer. For example, they opened one up in New York's LaGuardia Airport, and its 2 floors has a massive bar, arcade room, and made-to-order food, which, if you don't know, most other lounges are buffet style, with usually only 1 floor and not nearly as many amenities. So when looking at both cards, this is definitely something you'll want to think about prior to making your choice. Now, I will say I did forget to mention that the Platinum card also does have access to one more lounge, and that's the Delta Sky Club, which will be available to you whenever you're flying with Delta in any seat above economy, which is pretty nice in my opinion. But how the combos compare overall? Well, if you're looking for a cheaper start to entry, I think the Chase Trifecta is clearly the better option since you have 2 everyday freedom cards, and the highest value you would have to pay for some starter travel benefits is only $95. However, if you know you're a large spender, especially when it comes to eating out, travel, and if you have a small business or even some freelance or contract work, then I think the American Express Trifecta is definitely the way to go. But the most important thing to know is that Chase and American Express aren't the only contenders for the best credit card combo. Click here to learn about the Capital One Duo and how it stacks up against American Express. See you in that video. Bye.